Welcome to Digital Toolbox. In this tutorial we'll continue our first floor build out for the architecture building. We just went over some drafting techniques, so if you're building your own model of something you're designing, you can go ahead and continue drafting and building up with us. For the first floor of this building, we've gone and done some of these exterior walls, which we extruded up to 8 feet, and this column right here. So we're going to copy this column, since there's many columns all around this building. They're actually on a grid, so we'll use this one as kind of a basic example, and then copy that all around the building. So we're going to work with these kind of really easy instances first, these exterior walls and these columns, and then once we are getting into greater detail, I'll go out and measure these column heights and things like that we need to get more precise. But we can do a lot right now by just copying some basic elements. So go back into the top view, and here's our column, this poly surface that we've extruded to 20 feet. And you'll notice that there's all sorts of columns running all throughout the place with on a grid. So back from our AutoCAD file, our grid has been turned off. So I'll turn that back on, and you can see the grid lines up exactly on the center of all these columns. It's going to make it very easy for us to copy and paste. If this is your own building, and I would suggest you probably have a column grid or some modular methodology to go about this, but we can take this our one column and copy it all about here just based on this grid. You might want to use the array command from our other tutorial. If you're creating your own, it might be a good way to do it. But here we already have this grid drawn out for us from this old AutoCAD file. So we can take our poly surface and we can copy that with a center snap and set it along this grid. So if we're going to use this grid for snapping to, we'll go back and we can see that it's on the 0, plane in this view from the side. So if we go to the top view, or we can even do this in perspective, we'll switch over to wireframe and use the copy command. So it asks us for a point to copy from. Our object's already selected, so I'll select this this intersection. The intersection is on the center point of the base of that column, and now we can go to any other center point for this on the grid to snap to. So like right here, I'm going to redo my zoom just because it's kind of messed up for a little bit, but I'll just select this one and do zoom extents, and we're right back on it. So now I can pan quite easily now. So I'll do the same thing, copy, and that guy's already selected, so I'll just do this intersection, and then I can go over and in top view it's probably easier to do this to any intersection, and we'll just copy this guy too. So we can use from last point, or use last distance, or use last direction. So last point's fine, so we kind of know where we've been, and use last distance. That sounds great too, because even though it's going to snap, maybe we might get the wrong snap, so we'll use that same distance and then use it from the same point, so that way that column is going to be all the way through here. So if you don't want to use that last distance, or it seems we might get ourselves into a bind where there's no column over here. We've already done that one. Okay, we're gonna have to get off the use last distance and from last point, and then we'll snap to this one in here. Looks like there's one in here. Some of these will be embedded into the wall, so we might have to go back and edit that. But otherwise it's looking pretty good. So we did all those down there. I think pretty quickly we can go through this top part. See there, I messed up a little bit, so you can do, I guess you can't do undo for this one, so we'll just have to select that poly surface and delete him. We'll go back to this poly surface and do copy again, and then from the grid we'll just go grid to grid again. So you can go through and do this for however many you want. You can do all of them. You can do just a few of them. I think this will wrap up pretty quickly. We just have a few more to do. And then we don't know the heights right now, but I'll go out and get those heights from the field, and then we can come back and scale them. So right now this is at 20 feet. Say if that column height is for each one of these, it may be different. So in these studios, they might be 12 feet or something like that, and then some might go up further. So we'll come back and scale those later. But so we just copied that. We can turn off our grid now if we don't want to have to look at it, and then we'll toggle to the side view, and we can see we have that grid starting right there. And then in perspective, we finally see the whole thing. So that looks pretty good. It's in wireframe right now. Go up to shaded, and there's our column grid. So that's what we're working with right now. Since the walls are going to come up here, and it's going to get pretty confusing pretty quickly after the walls come up, I think I might go into this side view, and I'll select all these columns, just the columns, and then I'll create a new layer, and I'll do just columns, and then you can right click and change object layer, and then it'll change those to that layer. That layer is black right now, but we can go and we'll just make it this lighter brown, so that way all the columns stand out really well. So that's basic using that one column, and then we'll copy that one geometry for all of these.